If you're listening to this, pause for a second and subscribe. Because stories like this don't surface twice, and once you hear it, you won't forget it. I was new, eager, and stupid enough to think silence meant safety. The corridor leading there felt wrong from the first step. The air grew colder, thicker, like I was walking into something alive. My radio hissed nonstop, and the lights overhead flickered in slow, deliberate blinks, as if the building was watching me arrive. That's when I realized my footsteps sounded delayed, like the echo followed me instead of leading the way. At the end of the corridor was a single cell with the door already open. That alone should have sent me running. Prison doors don't open themselves. Inside sat a man wearing a clean uniform, too clean for a place like that. He was calm, waiting, smiling in a way that suggested he already knew everything about me. He looked up and said my name before I introduced myself. My full name. I felt my stomach drop. I remembered the rule they whispered during night shifts. Never speak to inmates in forgotten cells. But fear makes you careless. He told me I was early, that they always sent new officers first, and that if I could still hear him, it meant the prison hadn't finished deciding what to do with me yet. If this is already making your skin crawl, subscribe now, because it only gets worse from here. The walls around us weren't normal concrete. They were smooth, almost polished, covered with faint impressions that looked like fingerprints pressed from the inside. Hundreds of them. Thousands. When my flashlight moved across the surface, I realized they were layered old ones beneath new ones. If people had been trying to claw their way out for years. The man followed my gaze and told me softly that none of them had succeeded. My radio suddenly crackled to life, and the sound nearly made me cry with relief. I turned away for just 1 second to respond. When I turned back, the man was standing directly in front of me. I hadn't heard him move. His eyes were reflective, not dark like mirrors catching something behind me. He told me some prisons don't hold criminals. They hold replacements. The cell door slammed shut on its own. The light died instantly. In the darkness, I heard breathing, but not just one set. It came from the walls, the floor, even from the ceiling above me. My flashlight flickered back on, and that's when the fingerprints began to move. They stretched slowly, reshaping into hands, then arms, then faces frozen in terror. They weren't marks. They were people. People who had once stood exactly where I was standing. The man's voice echoed calmly as he told me every story survives because someone listens. He said, that's why I should tell mine. That's why you should subscribe. So the warning spreads before the prison chooses its next keeper. The floor beneath us lowered like an elevator, descending far deeper than any prison should go. Numbers flashed past levels that weren't meant to exist. When it stopped, I was in a corridor lined with cells, each one holding a version of me. Form. Same face. Same fear. They spoke all at once, warning me not to answer the radio, not to trust the lights, not to believe the man. Behind me, footsteps echoed slowly, confidently. I felt a hand rest on my shoulder. He was wearing my name badge. He explained gently that every prison needs someone to stay behind, someone to remember, someone to warn others just enough that the cycle continues. The lights surged back on, and I was alone sitting on a bunk, staring at a wall that now bore fresh fingerprints, shaped exactly like my hands. They found me at morning roll call. Silent, unresponsive. They said that block had been sealed years ago after a fire killed several guards whose bodies were never recovered. They said the cell I described had never existed. But every night, at exactly to 17 a.m., I hear footsteps outside my door and my reflection doesn't move when I do. If you're hearing this story now, understand this. Some prisons stand to lock you in. They wait for you to accept your place. Subscribe, follow, and don't ignore these stories, because the next one might be told in your voice.